Welcome to the Thresholds of Reality, the podcast where we explore unexplained and mysterious events, phenomena, and legends. Today we are joined by Parker Howell of the UFO Cowboys. He's here to discuss all of the many gritty details behind the scenes and how he got involved with cowboy skywatching and looking for UFOs in the Southwest. So strap in as we examine the edges of the unknown. Did I hit the outro? The outro.
It happens.
Love it.
Hey, switch them.
Anyway, Parker, thank you so much for joining us today. I have recently started watching your show, and it reminds me of other things I've seen about people investigating strange phenomena in the Southwest. First off, are you from the Southwest?
So I'm an Okie, born and raised in Oklahoma, Northeast Oklahoma. But in my life I've done a lot of things, and including this now. But again, first off, guys, I want to say thanks. I've watched several of your streams and enjoyed them. And Kyle and Sam, if there's not a yin and yang with you guys, I don't know what we're talking about. But it's great. One guy looks like he's ready to teach 8th grade science. The other guy's ready to go to a metal concert. I love it. So that being said, I appreciate being here. But I'm an Okie, dyed in the wool Okie, Northeast Oklahoma, but traveled all over these United States through work and through. I am a cowboy. My family comes from a line of cowboys, but I would consider myself more of the rodeo athlete. In the show, it picks up on Caleb being the steer wrestler and stuff. And he absolutely is. He's a good hand at it. And that's where me and Caleb really developed our friendship, was from steer wrestling and outdoor activities, noodling, catfish. We can get into that another day or whatever, but I would say that his bread and butter was the noodling and catfish, and mine was the steer wrestling. And so, cowboy term, I would say yes. I do wear a hat. I've got the shirt. I don't have the Orr Brown hat, but I'm more of a rodeo athlete. You know what I mean? I'm a steer wrestler and a rodeo athlete. Can I ride a horse? Can I do this? Have I had a little farm ranch and own cows? Yes. So that was a super long answer to Oklahoma. Do you call that the Southwest? I don't know, but I've been all over, West Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, and spent time out there with those guys, long before the show.
Well, I appreciate that. My wife is from Southeast Kansas, and so she's probably been very close to where you're from.
Where at, Sam?
Well, she's from a little town called Mayfield. Outside Mayfield, it's near Wellington, which is near Wichita.
Yes.
And she would go to Oklahoma all the time, just
right.
for Saturday night.
Right. So I was raised in Lenapaul, Oklahoma, and Stillwell, Oklahoma. And Lenapaul, the closest town, is either Nowata, Oklahoma. Again, you got to think we've got all these native names, but Nowata, Oklahoma, or Coffeyville, Kansas. And so that's in Southeast Kansas as well, just right up there. But I know where Wellington is for sure.
Yeah. Well, so check on the cowboy bona fides. We got a real life cowboy here. Perfect. And now we got to dive into the UFO stuff. So what made you want to pursue UFOs and UFO research as kind of a career, hobby, or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, I don't know if we've got that figured out our own selves, but again, I'm gonna go into this. There was an incident that happened with me that not even a whole lot of people know about. My wife, we've been together we've been married 10 years now and been around each other 13 plus, I think. But, it's just something that you don't talk about a whole lot. But there is a highway. I went to college at Northeastern State University in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. And I'm not afraid to say that me and a couple of buddies were out late at night one night doing college things, but I was driving. And this actually happened to me, and it got me into, so I'll just kind of go into my origin story of what I've gone into. So I can't remember the year, 2004, 2005, somewhere around that time. December, cold, Highway 82 in between Locust Grove and Tahlequah, Oklahoma. I can still remember all that. But I was driving, and my friends were in my single cab pickup truck, little Chevy pickup truck. Oh my gosh, what happened? Okay, sorry guys. Little pickup truck, and it's a real, in my part of the world or country, as we kind of say it around here, man, I've got friends from western Oklahoma and southwest Kansas and places like that. They come back here and they say it's a roller coaster just going on a ride to town, because it's up, down, curves, you know what I mean? These guys literally found goat trails around here. It's real hilly country in this part of Oklahoma, but there's a straight stretch. And I'm driving, and I can still remember this umpteen years later, that I looked and something caught my eye to the southwest. And I looked at it, and I'm driving down the road, and my friends, they're asleep. We'll call it that. They were asleep. And it just gets brighter and brighter and brighter. And all of a sudden, and this is the gospel truth, guys. All of a sudden, a light came in the cab, and it was like time stood still. And it was like I went back from myself, and I could see the truck. I could see my friends. I could see me. I could see outside. It was like I could see a 360 view of what was going on. And we were all paused in time, in motion. And I know that, listen, you got to know where I'm at around here. If any of my friends around here see this, they're going to think that I was definitely drinking too much that night. But it just, everything paused, and it was a purple translucent light that was shining on all of us. And it was just like time stood still, that everything was stopped. Nothing was going on. And all of a sudden, it was just like I was right back where I was at, and that light was gone. And I can remember it, and it still makes hair stand up on my head. Like, I looked around like, what in the heck just happened? And my friends were laying on each other. And I was like, hey, did you guys see that? Did you guys feel that? Did because the light was in the cab. And, no response. They didn't know what was going on. And I was awake for a while, and have pondered and thought and looked and did stuff. And was I just dreaming? Was I sleepy? Was I too much into the party that we were there that day? Was I, what was going on? Or was it an actual event? And the more that I thought about it, and the more that I talked to people in Oklahoma and around in that, and just kind of, if you could find those people that, didn't think that you were just, a loony bird, there's been some other kind of instances and cases where people have had that exact same thing happen. And so it started for me, my kind of trek into, and some people agree or don't agree with it. I'm as strong in my Christian walk right now as I ever have been. We're in the Bible Belt right here, but I think that God created all. It says it in Genesis, and I can't go over all the verses right now, but why isn't there other stuff out there? And it got me into the ancient astronaut theory, and you just look at us as a people. How do we know stuff about the stars so well that they didn't have technology back then? They didn't have what we have now. I mean, and it's just, the ancient astronaut theory just kind of started, was something that I'd looked into, and it wasn't what I hung my hat on or anything, but there's just things that that incident, it just made me like open my eyes to a broader world, and start kind of looking kind of here and there, and looking at the ancient astronaut theory, and supposed UFO sightings and just different things like that. And it's just kind of, it spun up a little bit of a different deal that that nobody even in my family really knows about. It's just what Parker kind of does on his own. And I'll read documents, and I'll look at articles and watch videos and do stuff on my own. And that was even like the guys, whenever we got out there and really kind of got together, they didn't realize I knew as much about here and there and different stuff. Now, I'm no Giorgio Tsoukalos, don't get me wrong on that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that, but
nobody has that hair. Nobody can get that hair.
So when
we
you
do not have that hair.
So when you said that you were driving, there was a purple light that came in and it kind of froze everything, and you could see everything 360. So could you you said you could see yourself, like you were like almost out of the truck, like closer to the front of the hood, and you were looking into the windshield, and you could see everything that was going on? Or
what was so crazy, Kyle? It was literally like an out of body experience. I knew the truck was there, but I could see through the truck. I could see everything, and just kind of rotated around. It was not from the front; it was from the back. Like I was back here, kind of where the light, it came from the side, and it kind of came here and kind of shined in the back. Again, single cab truck, and it was like, I know it sounds crazy, but it was almost like the light pulled me up there, and I was still watching everything, and everything was froze. And it was just like, you could just dissect stuff like you see in a movie or something, you know what I mean, where things are spinning around, and you see boom, 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 and then all of a sudden just whack, right back. I was right back holding the steering wheel, like what in the heck happened? You know what I mean?
And the light was gone, and there was nothing in the sky, and
gone.
That reminds me of a story we had somebody share on a previous episode. He was a producer on a Netflix show called Haunted. He was talking about how a gal was abducted, and she was asleep, and a light shone through the wall. Like, it wasn't through the window. It like opened, phased through the wall, and it grabbed her and was pulling her through the wall itself. And she didn't want to go, and she grabbed the fan blade on her ceiling, the ceiling fan, and it sucked her through the wall. Something happened, and then when she went back, she woke up the next day. She was like, wow, that was a crazy dream. But then she looked at the dust on the fan blade, and it had her fingerprints through it. But the fact that you talk about kind of being sucked out through the truck cab, that's not unheard of. The people get phased through an object, and maybe there's something about freezing time that allows you to do that, but I don't know. It's pretty wild.
Do you have any theories?
And again, my cowboy beer drinking buddies will be like, what are you talking about, man? You know what I mean? But I know what happened. I know what happened that night. And that's just, that was what kind of just, like, what is going on here? I'm sorry, Kyle, I cut you off.
Oh, no, you're good. I was just going to say, since then, have you done research and encountered more people that have had that? And what do you think, do you have any theories on, as they've kind of separated your consciousness from your body, do you think it's like they're doing it as like that's how they're like probing your brain and trying to get information? Or what are your theories, and what have you come to, do you think, that why they do that?
I've never went down that rabbit hole. Like, why did this happen? What could have this happened? Did it, nothing. I don't think anything's, I wasn't ever that good looking, you know what I mean? It never made me it didn't make me any better looking, for sure. But I don't understand, but I'll say this, and I know this isn't answering your question completely. In that same area, I worked with a guy, got to be friends with him. I'm not going to say, and we got close, and I told him he spent a lot of time in that exact same area. He had an aunt and an uncle, and I told him that at work one day in the office, and told 2 or 3 guys, that I knew, and he looked at me and he said, "Dude," he said, "you won't believe this, but in that, his aunt was from that same region. He said, my aunt talks about the exact same thing happening to her. Same light coming from the side, you know what I mean? Same sky." And he said, she believes it. And I can sit here and talk to you and you believe it. I said, yeah, I absolutely believe it. He said, that's crazy. So
how does that come up in conversation?
Probably a private moment, right?
Yeah. Well, whenever when you're setting out there on a pipeline and stuff like that, you get real close with people because you're working 12 or 14 hours a day, and there's not much that doesn't get discussed out there. You know what I'm saying? It's long times, but he said she described it. He said what you're saying sounds so much like my aunt's story. It's unbelievable. So I don't know. And then are they trying to plug into your unconscious realm? Or is it literally something like, hey, you're right there at the verge of being beamed up? I mean, for a lack of a better term, is it something? Because again, it seemed like I know there was time that lapsed in between that, but it was just like, just like segues, like stages, and then all of a sudden just wham, right back. But I'm going to be honest, I wasn't fighting it. I can remember being like, whoa, this is like, what is going on here? You know what I mean? I wasn't grabbing. I mean, yeah, like, whoa, well, what is going on here? You know what I mean? This is wild. And just kind of sitting there and looking at everything. And I remember, kind of looking at my buddies and being like, these lazy suckers, you know what I mean? They've been sleeping the whole way home, haven't helped do anything, But it was that is my experience. Put it on the Bible that what happened to me, why it happened to me, I don't know. Was it a dream? I don't know. But whenever I get to talk to other people and kind of run down the rabbit hole of other folks in this region, that I've run across, I've heard other stories kind of similar, and I don't know, you know what I mean? And you look at things, I don't know.
Yeah, so we'll get to kind of the region, right? That there's something you guys talk about in the show about a lot of sightings in kind of the Southwest region, but I wanted to talk to you about your experience after that, leading you to the project that you're a part of now, which is UFO Cowboys. How did that experience tie to your current show?
So it's all just coincidence, really. Caleb and Jeff, they developed a relationship, and I kind of, to be honest, I don't know. Caleb Summers is my connection. He's my buddy. He's my friend in this whole situation, but they kind of developed a thing, and Jeff kind of had this still going on. Jeff, I don't know if you guys have reached out to him or not, but the show is really based around things that have happened in his life, and it is quite the deal. But going into it, regardless of my experience, Caleb Jeff and the show producers, I think, got together, and then Caleb got involved. And to be honest, they were, they're trying to, look at the show, want to see what was going on, make sure everybody fit, because there's been some other people that Jeff's, had dealings with and everything else, I'm sure, because he is from out there out west. But they, just like this, we did a Zoom call and talked about some of my experiences, and then talked about the rodeo athlete and the hunting and fishing stuff. And I don't know how many episodes in you guys are, but that was an absolute truth. I was raised pretty, I don't want to say poor, but we were pretty, we always had plenty to eat, but mom and dad had land. And I was fishing whenever I was 6 years old, and we were keeping them and flaying them out and eating what we caught. And just my whole story, they liked it. And we they developed a show around Jeff's stuff. And then, even which my stuff didn't get in the show this first season or whatever, that specific one, but they just developed that show, and it's kind of taken off. And it was really neat to see whenever it came out, how everything played out, because Sam, you alluded to something earlier. There was so much stuff that we did out there that didn't even make the show that was just unbelievable. And I hope that we kind of revisit some of that stuff. Man, it was an awesome experience for me, and can't thank the producers, American Chainsaws, enough for what they put together.
Yeah, what's interesting that you mentioned the behind the scenes stuff, or the stuff that hit the cutting room, didn't pass the cutting room floor, is that in the shows that I've been involved in, I've been on a couple TV shows, but and they're reality competitions, is that people don't understand the production side of things. You get on a show and they show you an hour's worth of content or 20 minutes worth of content, or whatever the case may be, but it takes a long time to produce all that content. One of the questions I had, it's either the first or second episode, there's a sighting from a gentleman, and it's about a craft that leaves kind of a crater in his property. Tell me about how that was kind of like, obviously there's a drone that is scoping things out and taking shots of the crater. How did you guys get a hold of that? How old was the sighting? How old was the crater? Tell us a little bit about the behind the scenes for that particular.
So what was so great about the show to me, and maybe it might not be, and you being behind it, but you know, some work, they said, hey guys, we're going to go out and look at this. And that's what we did. Like, we walked out there. They said, look, this is what this guy says. This is how it is. I don't know. I don't know if the crater was 10 years old, 10 minutes old. I don't know. They said, look, this is what's going on. Here it is. And so whenever you get put in that aspect and you have the mental, things that have happened to me and I'm thinking about it, I just go with it. Now, that's me personally. I don't know. Sam, I talked to Steve, the farmer out there that had, here, this is what we're going to go look at. We want your reaction. You tell us, and we'll look and say. And that was just the way that it was for me. You know what I mean? Did I? Full disclosure, did I ever see an alien craft? No. But did I ever see a track hoe or somebody with shovels? No. So it was so, man, it was real to me. Like, I treated it as real. I went out there, and that's what it was. It's just real situations for me that they wanted us to go through.
Yeah, and I don't mean to sound like it's
no, absolutely
staged
not
in that way, but what I'm saying is there's a certain side of the production aspect, and I guess what I'm asking is, how much background did you get on the sighting, on the location, on the crater, before the cameras were rolling?
That's kind of the deal. They'd walk you out there, and you'd go in there, and they'd say, hey, we're going to go look at this. And it was all on the fly. We would talk, because much like you said, they show, let's say, 5 or 10 minutes through a couple of different episodes of that. Guys, we were out there days. We were going over stuff, talking about it, looking at it, circling it, digging through it. just different things. And it shows it's much like you said, we got 5 or 10 minutes, or I don't know how much it was. I didn't put a stopwatch on it, but we went over all that stuff in the field on the fly. Here it is. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss. Let's look at this. And, they would just let us ramble. I don't know, for a better, term. And they were filming it all the time. They had cameras on us all the time. Good, bad, ugly, whatever it was. That's how they shot it.
So what does the 37th parallel have in common with sightings? What kind of conclusion have you come with that?
It's so crazy, Kyle. Again, going back to my ancient astronaut theory, kind of looking in and checking on my own deal, is to go out there and be in a region where people like Linda Moulton Howe, somebody that I've looked up and looked at, she's real big into the mutilations and different things. And just, I don't know why. I don't know if it's the native aspect, because we kind of got into that a little bit, but not much. You've got so many native tribes that are still gathered up out there, and their origin story is right there. I don't know if it's because of the origin story of the native people out there. I don't know why the 37th parallel is hit like it has, but I mean, it is literally I believe the most documented cases of, UFO, or what are they calling it now? What is it?
UAPs.
What is the new term? UAP, is that right?
Yeah.
Unidentified.
Aerial
Yeah.
phenomena.
You have more, okay. You have more documented cases of out there in that region than anywhere. I think, I'm not going to say the world, but in the United States, I think it's like number 1 right there. I don't know, Kyle, and I know I'm trying to answer the best that I can, guys, but it was just wild for me. You know what I mean? Just to be able to actually get out there and, you read articles, you do this, you do that, and then be out there in it. It was pretty neat.
Yeah. Obviously we're all coming at this from different angles, and we're just really interested in hearing your perspective on it. Not that you have not that you're in a government bunker putting your hands on actual aliens, right? We don't know.
Right.
But it's interesting because we have an interest in it like you do, but we have our day jobs, and you're out there investigating actual sites. And so I think that's where the value of your opinion comes in, is because you've been on these sites and you can form your own opinion about them, versus us, we're getting the guided tour.
Right.
And so given that, there's been a lot of recent developments in the UFO kind of zeitgeist. One of the folks that we talked to recently was to talk to us about the Las Vegas UFO sighting, where there was a call to 911 about an 8-foot alien in the backyard. And he was 100% convinced that what they saw was genuine. But then we also have Senate hearings or congressional hearings about UFOs and craft in government possession. And then earlier this week, we have Mexican Congress. They're doing a hearing, and they're displaying supposedly 1,000-year-old alien mummies. Mojo just put that in the chat. But yeah, all of these things are kind of bringing UFOs to the front and saying, we need to figure out what this is. We need to accept it as real. What's your take on the publicity that UFOs are getting right now? Is it something that we need to be concerned about? Is it something that's genuine, or is it psyop? How do you feel about it?
Again, regardless of the show, like you said, Sam, and going into it, I want to go back to, heavy Christian belief guy right here. You know what I mean? But
Amen.
at the same token, it says stuff in the Bible. You can read different verses. You can go through the Old Testament, the New Testament, and you can look at stuff and you can pinpoint into it. Now, I know I talk in somewhat circles. I don't know about being concerned. I don't know if there's some, like the Independence Day type takeover or other things like that. But I'm a conspiracy theorist. I heard you talk a little bit. I've watched enough of your stuff. You know what I mean?
You're in good company.
Do what?
You're in good company.
I just don't think that they're telling us the truth. Now, I don't know what the truth is. I don't know if they have the biological entities. I'm like you. I watched the one of your streams where you were talking about, hey, where's the physical proof at? You come in here and you come to these Senate and you say, well, I have this and I have that and well, what recollection do you have? Did you physically put your hands on one? Did you physically get behind the wheel or sticks or whatever reverse engineered alien technology we have? That is still lacking, I feel like, in certain senses, other than the accounts that we have from some of these other people. And there was a lady that did not make the show. She did not make the show. And I cannot remember her name. And I'll say this. I'm raised in a native culture, Cherokee heritage. I go back to that. I'm very proud of my Cherokee heritage. But there's tons of native indigenous or, we're still the Stillwell Indians around here, but some people don't, they don't want to hear. I don't know. I don't know if that word's wrong or right anymore. But going back to that, there was a lady, she was a Ute native, and her witness or whatever you want to say, her talk, that it didn't make the show because she just they couldn't round it in, I don't think. But sitting there and listening to this lady speak for, 4, 5, 6 hours, just about, she believed it. She, and there's too many things that I can say, but I mean, just about alien encounters and the star people and being able to, communicate and just this and that. She absolutely believed it. So now going back into what I'm saying is there's too much of it out there. You know what I mean, Sam? There's too much of it out there, Kyle. There's too much of it. Is there a book of secrets that the president has? What happened with JFK even? You know what I mean? Something that is human and real. And where's Jimmy Hoffa at? I don't know. You know what I mean? Let alone these things that are floating around in the sky. How do you explain all the best technology that we have on these fighter pilots and the technology that's out there in front of them that they're seeing? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it's, I just don't think they're telling us the truth is all I'm saying. I would like to know the truth. I don't know if, and not trying to sound Jack Nicholson here, I don't know if we can handle the truth. I really don't. But I'd kind of like to know.
I think the person can handle the truth, but people can't.
There's the Men in Black response.
Yep, that is the Men in Black response.
Yeah. I like that approach. I feel like there's so much evidence that the government is not trustworthy. That we should always treat every claim that they make with a healthy dose of skepticism. It's not a grain of salt. It's a whole salt mine. They need to come up with actual evidence. But with regard to the show, what's something that really sticks out in your mind as like the moment that made your butt pucker?
Really, and again, full disclosure, guys, I don't know how they did it. I honestly have no idea. I can tell you I wasn't holding a knife. There were several, walking into that crop circle in that field, wading around in there. That was like, wow, who did, I don't know. Whoever, that was neat. That was really neat. But because I've hunted and fished my whole life, and semi-butcher or whatever you want to call it. It's not, like you're going down here to the grocery store or the full-on meat market, but I can butcher a calf. But whenever I don't know who or how they did that, but that was pretty eerie. You know what I mean? Whenever that cow was as clean cut as she was, because in the show it shows it pretty good. But I mean, we were around it and doing all that stuff, and there wasn't a gut pile right over here. There wasn't, the butcher guy standing right there. I honestly have no idea. And that was pretty like hairy. I wasn't there when with Hadley in the field that night. I don't know if you guys have seen the first episode. That's a grabber that got me. Whenever I watched the show, we wasn't there. We were over there. Team would split up. We would go different places. But that cow walking up on it and just being in that kind of presence of, is this true? Is this not true? Is this, what are we doing for this to happen? If you were a farmer and you walked up on your cow that looked like this, would that not just be like, what in the heck is going on right here? And that was probably the scene, the area, the stage that was kind of like that. That's crazy to me. You know what I mean? Just seeing that cow cut up that way.
Yes, we have a comment from our buddy Mojo. He says, my first experience with missing time, going back to your origin story, I was laying in bed when I was like 11 years old. I looked at my clock. It was 11:45. I blinked, and there was a flash of blue light. I opened my eyes like, what the frick? Looked at the clock, and it was 1:43.
I'm telling you, Mojo, I'm with you, man. It was wild. Because it was just like that. And I don't know how much time it lasted. I didn't wreck the truck, but, it was like that's its scenario right there.
Yeah. So coming up on the cattle mutilation was pretty harrowing, sounds like. How many days did you guys spend out there, and how many different sites did you go to?
There was stuff that didn't even make it, guys. We were out there a long time. I mean, a long time. And you get tired of being out there. And I know that, with you being involved in the shows, how much behind the scenes stuff. And, you would walk up and you would get that initial reaction. And then for the camera, they would want you to, hey, try to recreate that. You know what I mean? And do it again. And I'll tell you what, there was times that we were out there on a gravel road in these cowboy boots, and I swear I walked 2.5 miles in 40 feet. But we were out there several days to get down to what it was. I don't know. I mean, geez, it was a lot of days. I think I was gone from my house like 72 days, maybe something like that. I think we were gone. So, yeah, I think I was gone 72 days. And my wife, with me being a cowboy and again, wrong, right, or different. I hope the fans don't care. I was a pipeliner by trade, and she said she's been a single mother with a visiting husband every once in a while, for a long time. But that was I was gone as long right then as I've been on any job or anything else like that, being out there with these guys, getting all of it sealed up.
What was the craziest thing that actually happened that didn't make the show, or that you guys came across while you're out there, researching, investigating?
Running in, just meeting. There was a guy that showed up. See, whenever that whole deal with Josh happened, I don't know how far you guys are into it, Sam and Kyle, but you'll get there. I don't know if you've seen it, but so there's a guy showed up, Ed, and then getting to visit with Ed, and just the research Kyle part of it. I go back to that was his sister that has these experiences, and I'm telling you, it was just, I was enthralled. I was just talking to her, visiting with her, listening to her. And again, I didn't say this. I told my wife about it. One of the most beautiful women, not just Native women, one of the most beautiful women I've ever been around in my life. She was a beautiful lady. She was 50, 52 or something, but just a beautiful woman. But regardless of that, just listening to her speak and looking in her eyes and knowing that everything that she says, She 100% believed. She won 10,000%. And it just, I thought about that. I've still thought about that. I go back to that. I think I kind of picked through it. I wish that I would have had it filmed where I could go back and watch some of it, because it was, I mean, it was
What are some of the
story.
things that she talked about? What were some of her experiences?
Being abducted, sorry if I'm going, being abducted, getting visited from reptile humanoid species, getting talked to from a space commander. I'm just, I mean, it was a gamut. It was really tunnels and underground tunnels that the government has formed up where they're still in the native peoples and the native children. I mean, it was a list, Kyle.
Jeez, she had a encounters with the lizard people, huh? That's interesting.
Yes.
Because I mean, there's a lot of stories of the lizard people around, so that's interesting.
And I'm telling you, when I said you can look at it, I'm telling you, this lady 100% believed it. And after a little while, you just got to be like, I got to believe this. I mean, but it was, I don't know anything, even as far as running I know that you guys have a lot of work that you do, and those producers and stuff, the guys that were out there, man, they were great. And it had to have been hard to try to, they probably just couldn't get her pinpointed down, because it was, I'm moving like that. She was here and then over here and then up here and then down here. You were following her, and I know I'm moving fast too, but it was an awesome story.
So great stories, but the footage was terrible.
I think so. I just don't think that they could really tie it in with what they were looking for. You know what I mean? Like, everybody talks about, like, holy cow. You know what I mean? Like, this is crazy. And, Jameis, when we met Jameis and stuff, there was a lot more to the scenes of him that, the stuff that made it was great. That was the best thing that we did. Hey, I even got teary-eyed, and it didn't really show it, but he had us pick a talisman and do all this stuff. And man, the words that he said to me that were on camera but didn't make the show, it was like he hit me like what I think about me and my family and how it is, and I picked it again. It didn't make the show, but like, I picked the arrow, you know what I mean? And it was, it was a long talk. And then he said, like, well, you're like an arrow because you're straight and true and you lead your family and all that. I mean, just the words that and off the cuff, again, no script, no nothing. This guy said this stuff, and I was like, holy cow. And that was
back up a little bit real quick. I don't mean to interrupt, but back up a little bit. What were you guys doing? Like, what was actually going on? Like, you guys were in a group and you had a talisman there. What was actually going on? Like, what was the point? What were you guys trying to accomplish when you were doing that? Like, kind of for the audience who doesn't know about any of that, what were you guys what was kind of going on?
Hang on. So you'll see it. It made the show. I think it's maybe episode 6 or something, but we go up and look at some pictographs and some, just some stuff like that. And then to go up and visit this site, we kind of went through this little, ceremony of cleansing your spirit and making sure everything's right, because we're kind of visiting sacred ground and doing all this stuff. And just the ceremony that he set up to go up, to ascend up, to go look at these. And we end up, we go up there. It shows it on the show. I don't know, again, Kyle, I'm not holding it against you. Whenever you'll get to see it. It's my favorite. It's my favorite episode. And it could have been like, man, that was the one thing, which I'm not complaining, because I'm on a TV show now, you know what I mean? And it's pretty neat, but either what they pieced together was great, but just the whole the whole scenario of going up, looking at these, you know, drawings, just what he did. They give you a little bit of it, but to be there that night was really cool. Really cool.
You know, because Sam and I are from Arizona. We live in Arizona. And, you know, if you ever come to Arizona at South Mountain here, we've had people on that kind of talked that that's kind of a hotbed for UFO sightings. And there's a lot of sightings. There's a lot of pictographs there representing like vortexes and stuff above, you know, these heads. Is you know, is that kind of, you know, like I haven't got to episode 6 yet, but is that kind of the same thing that you guys had discovered, those kind of like showing like, you know, these swirly type of vortexes and showing, you know, like, and everything was like here, it's like everything is above the people that have drawn in the petrographs. Is that kind of how?
Are you sure you haven't watched it? Are you sure you haven't watched it? Hey, everything you described, and it goes back to even like in the ancient astronaut theory, the way that they look, the big eyes and the little arms and the different things, and I think you'll really enjoy that episode, Kyle. If you get to it, I think you'll enjoy it. Yeah, I mean, hey, you watched it and you hadn't even watched it. It sounds like that was what was going on there. That's wild, man.
Yeah, you guys will have to make a trip to South Mountain here in Arizona and check out all that, because it's right around the same, you know, same thing.
Threshold, yes, love it. See how I threw that in there? Threshold, love it.
Yeah.
No, it you know, that was really, I don't know if I'm froze up now. Sorry. That was really cool. And again, guys, they were filming all the time. I get the thing that my friends and my buddies and stuff have called me about was, you know, that's my wife's horse, Doug. You know, he's as popular at my house as I am. She's real high on Doug. And did that horse really roll over? And that happened. That was something spooked him out there. We were filming at night. We were doing some wild, neat things. And I think that's why some of the show has gotten, you know, I'm not saying it's taken off. It's not the Tiger King or anything like that, but I think more and more people are still kind of watching it. And I hope that it keeps taking off and we're doing stuff like that. But yeah, that was real. You know, he got spooked and things happen. You know what I mean? Just like you're saying out there, that really did happen. Now that was my least favorable. It hurt. That hurt my knee. I was down for a little bit, but you couldn't quit the team. And I'm not saying, I went right back to it, and that hurt. I don't know if you guys have seen that yet or not, but you'll see it. And that was no fun. You know what I mean? But they had the cameras rolling. I know, Sam, you know, Kyle, you know, they're always rolling on some of the stuff they catch. They get to stick it in there. I wish that wouldn't have made it, to be honest.
Sam, you gonna say something? Are you frozen or what's going on? But so when you were talking about the Sam,
sorry, my internet's getting a little spotty.
So you said you picked up an arrowhead with the talisman. So what kind of items did he have there for every? Yeah, go ahead.
I think they were all arrowheads, but they were different. They were different colors, maybe, you know, a little bit different shape, looking to them and stuff like that. And he wanted you to pick the one out that you felt like attracted to. And I'm telling you, like, the one that was there, like, I was like, that's the one I want. And everybody else was like, that's the one I want. There was none of us that were like, there was one and everybody wanted that one. It was weird because there was however many of us that were sitting in that circle, every one of us picked a different arrowhead. And I was like, and I'm saying like my daughter, excuse me, but it was a really, really intriguing deal just to look down here, him lay these out, and you picked the one that nobody else wanted, that was the one you wanted.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Nobody's just fighting over to be Mr. Black or Mr. White, or like
Right.
like in Reservoir Dogs. Yeah, I get you.
Right. And there was other things out there like Edward. He made the show just a little bit, but you got to talk to those guys. You got to visit with them. You got to hear about the origin story. Again, because of my native background, I'll say, you look at all this stuff, the natives from the East Coast out to the West to Canada. Now, I mean, really, I guess I don't know how the migration pattern really went. Calling natives down there in South America and Mexico and everything else. But, they talk about the star people and the star beings and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. How is it that you have all these tribes, all these different tribes and cultures that still have the same basic origin story? And that was what blew my mind, and getting to talk to them and then getting to talk about, the Ute, way of like cleansing the spirit, cleansing the body, and having a sweat lodge. And if I get to go back out to that country, I'm going to hope to get with his family and actually get to participate in a sweat lodge, a sweat. And I just, I didn't get to do it, but I'm really hoping to be able to go back out and connect with his family. And I, kind of had the invite, and I'm going to do that just to experience that, you know what I mean? Because I just think that would be awesome. That was a lot of the show, was just getting to talk to the locals around there and visit with people and stuff was neat.
I mean, yeah, I mean, the people that live there, I mean, I assume that there's so many different intriguing stories that come with people who have been there for, generations and having to just all these crazy things that have happened to them. I mean, it's got to be insane to sit down with all these people and just get to hear their stories. I mean, that's just got to be great.
It was, I'll be 40 in January. I've been very blessed to lead a lot of different lives. Like I said, from rodeo guy traveling all around, broke all the time, to pipeliner guy that was doing this, to football coach and wrestling coach and just, did a lot of stuff. But it was, it's something that I will always remember, just getting to get out there and be somewhere for that long and get to see somebody a few days, and they open up more to you, and just, them being able to track back to the Anasazi and just doing, just hearing about stuff that you've researched and you've watched and you've looked, being out in it is neat. There was a Navajo, which I know that the Navajos now, they want to call it Den, and I get that, but he was a Navajo man that worked behind the scenes, helping stuff out and everything else. And he was a younger guy, and he was really into climbing, you know what I mean? So there's, out there in Durango and stuff. I'm not a climber. Look at me. I can tell you the story. My uncle knocked me out of a tree. My uncle knocked me out of a tree when I was maybe like 6 or 7, because I was up there throwing stuff down at people walking by. He threw one up there and whizzed me out of it and knocked me out. I don't like heights right now. They're like, "Hey, Parker, let's go climb this." I said, "What?" "Yeah, let's go climb these rocks and stuff." I said, "No, we're not doing anything like that. You guys go do all you want to about it." But, whenever you find out that climbing is a big part of their culture in certain degrees, it was neat just to get to visit about stuff that I didn't know that they climbed. They climbed rocks and did all this stuff. I had no idea. I don't know why anybody would want to. I guess survive.
Is there talks of a season 2 or a follow up? Or
man, if it happens, I would love to do it. But as of right now, it came out I think the 28th.
Yeah.
And I'm going to plug it a little bit, guys. It's on Roku streaming. If anybody's watching or still here, it's only on Roku. You can binge watch it. As of right now, no. You know what I mean? We've the producers and stuff have called and said, hey, seems like it's doing good. What are you, everything going all right? Checking in because you develop a relationship, Sam. I know you know that, Kyle. You get to be with those guys so long, you kind of miss them after a little while. But it was awesome. Look at that guy on the right. They've got him in the dark. You know what I'm saying? But look at that hat that Aura has. Just even on that. I mean, my gosh, that is right. Sam, you picked up. You need to get hold of that guy. But as of right now, no. I hope so. I hope that something comes up for sure. I think that would be awesome. You know what I mean? But as of right now, it's still there. I don't know anything about ratings and algorithms and different thing. I have no idea. You know what I mean? I'm sure they're pacing around in circles. You know what I mean? I hope that people like it. I really do. I know it's, what does it say? The West just got wilder. I know it's a Wild West show, but it was, it's good.
I will say that I enjoyed it more than Skinwalker Ranch. The first season of Skinwalker Ranch really left me very frustrated, and this one was a lot more satisfying.
Well, I definitely appreciate that, Sam. I do.
Gonna shut down the internet, Kyle.
I know. I was just trying to show some different.
Oh, look at that guy!
Oh, look at that handsome guy.
Where'd he go?
Well, there he is, right there. You're a big dude. You're a big dude, Parker.
Man, there's definitely bigger guys out there in the world, but I'm probably bigger than what I think I am. I always try to bulldog like a little guy, but yeah, I'm pushing that 3 bills. You know what I mean? For sure, all the way around.
I know the feeling.
Oh, geez. But,
well, we really appreciate you taking the time. Kyle, did you have anything else?
No.
Check out UFO Cowboys on Roku. There's 8 episodes. They're all available for streaming. It's a very entertaining show. They do also really just kind of dig into some real puzzling mysteries about aliens and UFO encounters in the Old West, in the kind of the rural areas. Parker, any parting words for us?
Guys, I just really appreciate it. It's been fun. I want to do it again. Let's get on here. Anytime that you need somebody, holler at me. I like to hear myself talk. You know what I mean? That's for sure. But it's great.
You got yourself a deal.
Hey, if you guys get out here to Oklahoma or something like that, we'll have to go. We will definitely have to go grab a catfish or ride a horse or do something like that. Kyle, I know you're down for it. I can tell.
Yeah.
Kyle's been wanting to noodle. There's not a lot of catfish in the canals around here.
Right. But no, I really appreciate it, guys. And yes, anybody that's watching or anything, check it out. And then I don't know. I think my wife thought I was going to get way more popular than what I was. But, there's
just wait till they see this episode, Parker. It's
gonna
happen.
Yes, it's going to happen. So it's at Parker_UFO Cowboys. I think I've got an Instagram now and a TikTok and a Facebook and all this other stuff. And so it's been good. I will share this, and I hope this doesn't offend anybody or anything like that. But I have a brother-in-law, and he told me that the queens of Central Arkansas, they were there, and him and his husband were there, and again loved David and loved them. They're great people, and that's all that matters to me. And he said that they were at the Queen contest for Arkansas, and he was overhearing some gentlemen talk about a show, and he said, "Wait a minute, what are you talking about?" And they said this show, it's got cowboys that chase aliens around and all this stuff. And he goes, "You're never going to believe this. That's my brother-in-law, Parker, on there." And they're like, "Oh my gosh." He said, "So I'm well represented in that region." I said, "Great."
Well, that's great to hear. I didn't want to bring it up, but one of our viewers did mention save a horse, ride a cowboy.
Oh no. Oh.
Well, with that, we will catch everybody next time. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe so we can keep bringing this great content to you. And until next time, keep on exploring the edges of the unknown.